Momentum is visible, but boundary is older. The monthly structure is still developing, yet its containment already defines structural weight. February's candle remains incomplete, positioned inside a descending trend boundary. The body currently leans bearish, though lower wicks continue to form. Those lower shadows show engagement beneath the body rather than immediate continuation. The 20-moving average on the monthly timeframe remains relatively flat. There is no meaningful slope expansion yet. Distance from the 20 MA has narrowed compared to prior impulsive phases. That narrowing reduces structural acceleration. The 4 Bollinger Band shows asymmetry. The upper band is compressing. The lower band remains expanded. That imbalance reflects pressure without full resolution. The 20 Bollinger Band is beginning to widen slightly on both sides. Expansion is not aggressive. It is gradual. Volatility is attempting to reprice inside an already established boundary. Monthly structure is not relocating. It is processing. The dominant zone remains defined by prior rejection highs and repeated engagement near mid-range memory. Until persistence forms beyond that boundary, relocation cannot dominate duration. Inside this monthly field, the weekly structure negotiates. 3 weeks ago, a weekly low established a reference anchor. Last week formed directly above that anchor. This week formed directly at the lower edge of the prior week's body. That compression matters. Range has reduced. Overlap has increased. Session transitions have produced less displacement. The 20 Bollinger Band on the weekly chart continues to compress at the top. The lower band remains open. This reflects downward pressure that has not yet transitioned into expansion. This week closed inside the lower portion of the 20 Bollinger envelope. It did not produce aggressive extension. It did not reclaim mid-band dominance. It remained contained. The 4 Bollinger Bands on the weekly time frame are narrowing. Upper and lower bands are pulling inward. Short-term volatility is declining. Duration is increasing without displacement. The 20-moving average on the weekly time frame slopes downward. Its angle is steady rather than accelerating. The 120-moving average has flattened considerably. Distance between 20 MA and 120 MA has narrowed. That distance compression reduces structural momentum. When averages converge, persistence must increase to produce relocation. Without persistence, compression dominates. This week leaned toward compression. RSI on the weekly time frame dropped near the 30 region earlier. It attempted recovery. It did not reach 50. It is now stabilizing slightly below the midline threshold. Momentum is not expanding. It is stabilizing at lower density. That reflects controlled pressure rather than capitulation. The weekly candle therefore remains inside monthly memory. It has not rejected the boundary aggressively. It has not relocated above structural weight. It continues to negotiate duration near prior anchor lows. Monthly defines the field. Weekly negotiates inside it. Volatility has slowed. Processing continues inside structural containment. The monthly slope remains shallow, while weekly redistribution intensifies near structural weight. The 20 MA on the monthly chart remains nearly horizontal. Its flattening reflects loss of directional acceleration. When slope flattens, structure redistributes rather than extends. Distance from price to the 20 MA has reduced compared to earlier cycles. The upper 4 Bollinger Band continues to contract. The lower band remains wider. This asymmetry reflects unresolved downward pressure. However, body size has decreased compared to earlier expansion phases. The 20 Bollinger Band shows mild bilateral widening. It is not impulsive expansion. It is gradual volatility breathing. That breathing occurs inside a prior descending channel. This monthly environment creates structural gravity. Weekly movement must persist to alter that gravity. So far, persistence has been limited. Duration has shortened relative to earlier impulsive weeks. Weekly volatility redistribution is visible through overlapping bodies. 3 consecutive weeks share structural memory near the same lower boundary. Range contraction is clear. Body size has decreased. Wick dominance has increased. Lower wicks show engagement. Upper wicks show failure of continuation. Neither side has achieved persistent acceptance. The weekly 20 Bollinger Band upper boundary continues compressing downward. The lower boundary remains open but not expanding further. This is not acceleration. It is redistribution inside an already expanded range. When upper bands compress while lower bands stay open, volatility pressure skews. However, skew without persistence does not create relocation. It creates internal negotiation. That negotiation reduces average displacement per session. The 20 MA continues sloping downward toward the 120 MA. The 120 MA is nearly flat. Distance between them continues narrowing. Convergence reduces directional conviction. Distance mechanics matter here. When price trades close to converging averages, range tends to dominate. Large displacement requires expansion away from average convergence. That has not occurred yet. Instead, price remains compressed between structural weight above and open space below. Flatness is increasing. Overlap is increasing. Impulse is decreasing. Time is expanding while movement contracts. Compression has lasted multiple weeks. Short-term attempts have failed to extend beyond weekly mid-range memory. Duration accumulates without structural break. Volatility becomes internal rather than directional. RSI confirms this redistribution. It fell toward 30. It attempted recovery. It stalled below 50. That failure to regain midline density indicates pressure remains but is not accelerating. Momentum is sustained at lower intensity. It is neither collapsing nor expanding. It is holding inside structural gravity. The weekly anchor from 3 weeks ago continues to define lower boundary memory. Each successive week has interacted with that anchor. Acceptance has not formed above mid-range. Rejection has not forced fresh relocation below the monthly boundary. The system is compressing. Volatility is redistributing. Duration increases inside structural weight. The boundary remains dominant while weekly structure continues to process inside it. Daily behavior is fluctuating inside weekly compression while averages converge near structural memory. The daily 20 MA slopes downward but at a moderate angle. It is not steepening. It is not flattening completely. Its slope reflects gradual continuation rather than acceleration. Price recently traded beneath the 20 MA and remains close to it. Distance from the 20 MA has narrowed. That narrowing reduces immediate displacement probability. Daily slope remains negative, yet momentum is controlled. The 120 MA on the daily time frame has flattened significantly. It no longer rises meaningfully. It no longer declines sharply. It defines structural weight just above current compression. Price has been oscillating beneath the 120 MA. Attempts to approach it have failed to persist. Duration above it has been limited. That reinforces weekly containment. The 4 Bollinger Bands on the daily time frame are tightening. Upper and lower bands are pulling inward. Short-term volatility is decreasing. Expansion cycles are shortening in duration. Earlier daily expansions produced larger body candles. Recent expansions have produced smaller bodies. Wick-to-body ratio has increased. That shift indicates negotiation rather than continuation. The 20 Bollinger Band on the daily time frame remains open but not widening aggressively. Upper band is sloping downward. Lower band is flattening. This reflects downward bias without acceleration. Overlap duration has increased on the daily chart. Multiple sessions share overlapping ranges. Break attempts have failed to extend beyond prior weekly anchor memory. Compression persists across consecutive daily closes. Flatness dominates several sessions. Range contraction repeats. Average distance compresses. Impulse reduces. The weekly anchor low continues to influence daily behavior. Each daily attempt toward that region produces reaction. Yet continuation beyond that anchor has not achieved persistence. Relocation has not established duration below the monthly boundary. RSI on the daily time frame dipped into lower regime. It has stabilized in the 30 to 40 region. It has not reclaimed midline density. Momentum remains constrained. Higher time frame defines boundary. Weekly defines structure inside that boundary. Daily defines behavior within weekly compression. Duration is expanding while displacement contracts. Volatility is breathing but not relocating. The system continues negotiating inside converging averages and prior anchor memory.